Nakamata. My name is Sage Blake. I'm a wanderer, storyteller, artist, and mature, and this week on Sage After, we're going to be taking a look at both a little of the old and a little of the new. I have an idea that I want to take a look at some of the entries of 2020, right? But some of those entries have already appeared in past years of Sage, so I figure what I can do is a nice side-by-side comparison of the current year as well as the previous year or previous years worth of content. Essentially, a way of seeing just how the project has evolved. So, I figure, what better way to start than with one of the first few series I ever did, Havoc Box. To start with, we've got a tutorial area now for both Gray and Venice, essentially explaining how the controls work, what properties they've got, little differences in between each character. For Gray here, his melee attack has received another art upgrade, giving it a little more pizzazz and panache. His crouching attack has also received an upgrade as well in terms of its range and general usability. It's a lot more practical for many more scenarios, especially when enemies are too small. We also have a really big addition in terms of the dash mechanic. Up in the upper left, you can see a blue or pink bar, respectively, that charges over time. When a segment of the bar is fully charged, you can initiate a dash that doesn't exactly give you invincibility, but it does help you get from place to place a little faster, and help you dodge certain attacks a little more easily, too. The melee attack has received a slight upgrade in terms of when it's under the effects of the invincibility shield. For one, it actually shoots out sword waves. Your projectile attack also has 3-spread option now, which makes it a little more usable for most scenarios. Within the opening cutscene, a few more details have been added to Moonlit Cove to make it feel more like a sunken ruin.
What was that?
Which was the original intent for the stage, according to the developer.
Looks like it
We
came
also
from the
have
ocean over
some
there.
music in the background too for this cutscene, and
Someone in trouble?
it really sets the tone. I like it. It's just a general nice
I
track to
can't
listen
remember
to
who I
in my
am or
idle
why I'm
time.
here. There's nowhere to go but forward.
When we get to the stage itself, however, we've got a lot of different changes to go through. The first of being these crystals. Listen carefully. If you've been paying careful attention, you might have noticed a little tinkling sound effect that occurs when you pass underneath one of them. Essentially a warning that it's going to fall and hit your head if you're not careful. There's also a block here telling you that, hey, Ray can jump up waterfalls. Might be useful information to know. There's also a sound cue for when these fish start jumping out of the water, too. We've also got collapsible platforms now, so expect that to occur. And what is that in the distance? Seems Signa has upped his game a little bit. Looks like he wants to try and actively take you out while you're venturing through the Moonlit Cove. There have been a couple changes to this lower path here to make it a little more threatening-ish, such as a whole bunch more fish, and also below we have a pit of thorns. You're going to be seeing pits of thorns all throughout this stage, just to help accentuate the fact that, yes, this is an ancient ruin, lost to time. It gives it a really nice feeling, just seeing these here. They're pretty dangerous hazards, too. Supposedly in one of the dev streams, you could have gotten caught in one of these, but that has since been fixed. We don't need to worry about that. The biggest addition of Moonlit Cove is the fact that we can actually get to explore the ancient ruins itself during the stage, as opposed to just seeing bits and pieces of it in the background. Here, we can actually not only explore, but also watch as Signa absolutely wrecks it, as if he doesn't even care. Signa's interference not just extends to making platforms drop, but also this water here. pushing you along into the next area. It also opens the gates further along. We get a bit of a water current here to make some tricky platforming. And we can also properly hear the underwater variant of this music. This particular section here is a little strange. You get barely enough time to make any of the platforming right now. But even if you end up bungling it, which it's highly likely, there's a platform below that will just carry you up to the top. It's not much of a penalty taking that damage, and I wouldn't fault you for that. The platforming is fairly difficult, all things considered, with the time crunch necessary. This boss also has a pre-cutscene.
Oh, don't tell me. I gotta fight that?
Boss artwork has received a bit of an upgrade, and Signe has received an upgrade too. For one, it's more obvious now that you can't harm Signe initially. That shield around it is protecting it from all types of damage. So how are you supposed to exactly get through that? Answer, you need to have Signe fire its own laser into the crystals and refract it back in. Do that enough, and you can chunk it out, allowing you to get to the second phase, which is completely different. Here, Signe will fire bouncing shots along the ground, and hope that hit you with those. Dodge 3 shots, and then shoot a projectile at the shield yourself to help chip it away. You only need to do this 3 times, so this phase of the fight doesn't exactly overstay its welcome. If anything, it's a nice change of pace. The last phase of the boss arena has also received a bit of an upgrade too. Well, visually at least. It now looks like a bit of the ruins that have just been collapsed and broken in. Gives a nice feel to the arena. Makes it feel like Signe is really out for revenge. Or just trying to kill Gray for some reason. The first beam on this last phase still doesn't have a queue, and I'm not sure what the issue is at all. I also haven't heard Dusty mention anything about it, that I know of at least. She does have dev streams on occasions on YouTube. I recommend that you check them out. It'll give you more detailed updates on the goings of this project. Avian Tempest has received an art upgrade and a size upgrade too. It's not only larger, but also deals more damage to enemies.
Is it dead?
The voice work here is improved too.
Gosh, I sure hope it's dead. What an introduction! Already being attacked, and it's been less than an hour. I'd like to think I deserve a breather. It wasn't dead, was it?
Watch out! First rule of surviving, Fox Boy. Never let your guard down.
Fortuna's gotten an art upgrade as a result of a particular side project that came up in winter last year. Fortuna's Perfect Present. I'm thinking about streaming that when it gets closer to Christmas time. I feel like it's only fair, you know?
Pretty dangerous hobby if you ask me.
These days, we've all gotta help each other out. No one else is gonna. The name's Fortuna. Yours?
I don't remember much,
Now,
actually.
while Fortuna has gotten an art upgrade, not all of her assets have been given a bit
Behold
of a
my
makeup, so to speak.
humble abode. You like what
This
you
cutscene
see?
especially still uses a few of her
Let me
old
get the door for
sprites,
you.
mostly because they
Pardon
haven't
my
been,
mess.
the new ones haven't been done
Hey,
yet.
not a problem.
We've also got
Actually, I don't
this
know if we can
now,
get through this.
and some new
Let me
voice
see.
lines.
I swear I didn't put that there. Ugh, this really grinds my gears. Who thinks they have the right to break into my house and put turrets in it?
I wonder.
Fortuna, wait!
In the original cutscene, we actually
Gotta
didn't
go
get to
after
see
her.
the
Whoever's
turret,
behind
let
this could
alone
hurt her badly.
what is an absolute mountain of plushies. It's
Hey,
adorable
can
in
you
its
hear
own right, just saying.
Holy! Yes, I can.
And these aren't the
Don't
only
scare me
places
like
we'll be
that.
seeing them.
How are you even talking?
I've bugged you, of course. For the communicator, I definitely didn't steal. I wanted to make sure you knew where to go from here and stuff. It's a big and confusing ship, you know. From what I can tell, there are invaders in all this place's holes. All 4, to be specific. I'm gonna go downstairs to see if I can find the big boss. You take care of the entertainment centers, and I'll meet you in the boiler room.
Hey, I'm not your... And she's gone.
The entertainment centers that Gray visits have gotten several upgrades. This one, that's supposed to be the pool and aquarium, actually looks more like a pool and aquarium. We've got a few more items in the background to give it that underwater feel that it was lacking before. This tunnel here has gotten a complete overhaul. In the original, there were bubble shooters here that would shoot you into the ceiling full of spikes, but now we actually have claw traps here, reminiscent to the ones that Hero uses in his boss fight. I wonder where he got them from anyway. I guess around here. Random little trivia, you might have noticed the yellowish enemies with shades that are whirring about. Those guys apparently have a declassified name now, as a result of Dusky revealing that during one of her development streams. They're called Cool Guys. It's an amazing name. It's an amazing name, and it fits oh so well. I mean, they're just along for the ride. It's not exactly your fault that you happen to cross their vision. Okay, maybe it is your fault. But even then, it's not exactly your fault that they wanted to attack you. We also have mid-boss music now. Something to look forward to, and it's a pretty catchy track. But listen. Didn't exactly tune in? Don't worry, you'll be hearing more of it in the future. The theater's gotten a few changes too, among which being these flies actually emit a sound when they're seeking onto you. There are a couple more posters about, advertising things like adventures and whatnot. These lamps actually hurt you and give a visual feedback tell you that they hurt you. And up here, we have, within theaters, a nice little scene of a few different characters here. I'm not exactly sure who they are. Freedom Hero. I wonder what that's referencing. But bigger than that, we have Yolanda, demoted to less than mini-boss? There were a few technical issues that were caused as a result of the dash and other such updates. So as a result, Yolanda's kind of been relegated to a little bit of a stage gimmick here. She's still a threat, and if you're not careful, she can easily chip down your health. But if that only begs the question, if she's gone as the mini-boss in this area, then what exactly is where the theater's supposed to be? Answer! Now I know where Fortuna got all those toys. And then some. Holy crap! I think she has a problem! This time on Hoarders, we have Crane Boss. And this guy is more of a weighty boss than anything else. There are some amusing moments that crop up. You can take up little bits of the items that are below you and use them to attack them. There's a 3-way spread turret that you can grip. There's a squeaky rubber ducky, which makes the most adorable sound, and is actually kind of threatening with its wall of pain. And there are also bombs that you can grip. If you stay under the crane for too long, then it will actually drop the bombs on you. But the bombs are also the way to damage it, too. You just need to stay away from its grip for long enough. After getting hit by bombs twice, the crane gains a new attack where it can throw out spread shots of electricity. If you're not careful, it can deal some pretty annoying damage to you. I'd also like to mention that this guy is immune to projectiles. Just a little thought.
Fortuna! I thought you went downstairs. What happened?
Okay, so, I did, but there was this big tremor, and the ground started rising. I ran back here and found this mess. Someone's fused my garden with my engine room. I guess it's good you weren't in the area.
We'll talk about this later. For now, you should stay here and get your bearings. I'll take a look around.
That works. Be careful, I guess.
Catch up when you're ready.
There's a bit of a bug here.
Banged up there. Hold on. There.
You can move while Fortuna's still speaking, and, good luck trying to clear the stage like this, because the moment you hit the jump button, it's just gonna advance the dialogue, and, yeah. It's kind of an amusing thing that I'm pretty sure Dusty didn't exactly need to have still around. We also get a new hazard for this area, a literal garden viper. First time I saw this, I absolutely rolled in laughter. I mean, it only fits. If the garden's been fused with the engine room, then why not have something that's surveilling the garden and making sure that everything's all set to go there? So, of course, Garden Viper. Excellent Guardian. Heck, even Fortuna's statue's gotten an upgrade. Now it's absolutely massive. And might I say, it's beautiful. We need more of this. The moving platforms have been replaced with a nice little portico here. Patio thing. It looks really nice. It encourages you to stop and smell the roses. There's also another viper. Once you beat the viper, you might notice a little indicator in the bottom right telling you where to go. That's new for both Gray and Venice, in order to point you in the right direction. Buzzsaws. That's new. It's almost like someone's actively trying to prevent you from getting to that. But that can't be. There can't be a fox who specializes in the finest of Havoc, right? You'll find thorny brambles around the garden too, specifically because, well, it makes sense that they'd be a hazard around here. In the original version of this area, there were flame traps instead, which I always thought is a little strange. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense for the whole boiler room / reactor, but at the same rate, why fire? Wouldn't that just spread to the rest of the garden? At least like this, it makes actual sense with everything else that's around, that these would be hazards. The elevator's also gotten a bit of a rework to replace all the fires here with rampant thorns. The bounty guys have also become a threat too. Now they actually lob shots at you while you're sitting in the elevator. Good detail. Makes it a little more challenge.
Fortuna?
It's a dead end. It's a dead end? Are you kidding me? We searched the whole place! How is there no one here? I thought for sure.
Maybe they managed to escape.
No. Nobody escapes from Fortuna. I bet they're just hiding from me. You hear me? You hear me? I know you're there! Come on out and let me kick.
Oh, stick a sock in it. You're worse than the king.
Who are you?
Only the great and powerful Kirill, of course. Responsible for the finest of Havoc.
I'm assuming that includes all this.
Yup. The king saw this weird ship thing and thought that'd make an awesome weapons carrier. He picked me for the job because I'm the coolest, obviously. Originally, I was only planning to have to thrash the cat, because she looks like a pushover. But you're on her side, ain't ya?
Not officially, but yeah.
Cool. Well, you're in luck. The office office of the Great Hero doesn't need it to be official! Today, we're offering our butt-whooping services to all! Absolutely free!
Kiro's upgraded the reactor, too. There are guns at the sides that are just there for decoration. And there's also a legitimate reason why you can't attack Kiro in this phase now. He's actually used the reactor to create a shield around himself. You'll also notice that the fire traps have changed! For whatever reason, the fire shield doesn't protect against them, unlike what it did in the original. I guess it might be the fact that this fire shield only protects against certain types of flames. I mean, these green ones might be some type of magnesium type fire or something like that. Maybe that's why it's piercing it. Here you'll notice that Avian Tornado is able to stick around and deal multiple hits to a target while it's on the beat. It makes it a really versatile weapon for very chunky enemies. Second to last, Kiro's all out Surge. Now he has a text box. Just before he gets interrupted by Fortuna. And for the last tweak that's on the gray side at least, this cutscene's received a little bit of a change. In the original, we could actually see in the portrait that Ivex was finding both Fortuna and Gray with his psionic abilities. But we've received a little bit of a camera pan, so we only really see Fortuna. If you'll remember correctly, within the 2019 Sage demo, we had 3 stages for Gray and 2 for Venice. This time around, it's been reduced to 2 apiece, specifically because there were a lot of things that needed to be changed and or scrapped within Gray's 3rd stage, to the point that it essentially needs to get an entire overhaul. That's why it's not appearing in this year's demo, but honestly, it's not too much of a penalty considering across the board we've gotten a lot of quality of life upgrades, including for Venice here, her down air, instead of piercing through the targets, will actually stop and ricochet her backward whenever she connects with the target. She's also received a few additional art upgrades for her melee attacks. At that, Spooky has also received a drastic art upgrade to make him fit a little better with the current art style.
This is so boring! If I knew my first day on the volunteer force was gonna be this slow, I'd have stayed in flight school. At least there I got to crash planes. I know, Spooky. I'm just excited. This is everything Ronnie and I always dreamed of, but why can't someone commit grand arson or something? Manage your expectations? You sound like my counselor. But it sounds like Joey's in trouble. We're on our own then. Finally, a real mission! Let's go, Spooky. We've got people to save.
Miracle City has received several changes as well, among which including, but not limited to, the new music, which is slower in pace. It's still nice, but I don't know, I kinda prefer the more frantic one in this one. Maybe that's just my personal preference. We've also got a lot more buildings around, too, to explore. Some NPCs have also moved around, and in one case, that's led to their dialogue changing. We'll get to that. Shrimpin' real good, that's actually like, no lie, that billboard is absolutely we get to explore this office building here and see that the chaos that's running rampant throughout the city isn't just affecting robots. It's apparently taking over the computers for these office workers. And yes, that malignant malware can actually hurt you, so be careful. We've got what looks to be a closed-down ramen shop here. I'll see if I can't translate the text at the front. Well played, Dusky. I've translated it, and apologies if I end up butchering Japanese with this one. It says, Ganze Venezia. Literally, cheers, Venice. Well played. This NPC here used to be a little ways in the lower right, but he's been moved up here for a few different reasons. The side jittering glitch is still here. Ever amused. But we also lack the idle concert now. Instead, these guys are just sitting around in the park, enjoying a nice meal and a nice time in the nature. Kinda disappointed, but hey, what can you do? The rest of the stage more than makes up for it. Originally, this part of the stage ended about around here. Like, you descend up here and then go off to parts unknown, but that's changed. And miracle of miracles, Venice now faces a pit in stage 1? Yeah, you could fall down that pit and kill yourself. Very nice detail, by the way, that the fishy enemies are the ones that shoot up the bridge. Little rascals. These piles here are a little funky. The bottom ones can hurt you while you just walk over them, so you have to jump, no matter what. I don't personally like the sounds the elevator makes, but if the game is planning to go for a bit more of a 32-bit-esque style in places for its sound direction, I'm fine with it. This entire area here is also new, having to deal with the platforms as well as the hazardous floor. It's not that difficult, really, and it gives you a good incentive to learn how to actually platform. Some of the graffiti down here was actually created by some of the fans of Havoc boss. Just a little note. Our mysterious robot enemy here has also received some voice acting.
Halt! What are you doing outside? Don't you know it's dangerous out here?
Oh, don't worry. I'm on my way to stop this. You see,
You stop this? Leave it to the professionals, kiddo. What are you, like 9?
I'm 11.
Whatever. You need to get inside now.
Hey! Did she seriously just lock us
She's so
in here?
bouncy.
Is this a cafe? Seems impractical to hide in, too.
Hey, are you just gonna ignore us?
Oh, did the pushy guard make you guys hide too?
Us hiding? Oh, honey, we're just here to handle anybody who might be thinking of getting in the way of boss's plan. And if you're here, it looks
Who,
like
me?
you're getting
No,
in
you
the
couldn't
way.
possibly mean me, right?
What? Hey, don't be rash. I'm sure we can just talk this misunderstanding out.
In the original, you would actually fight a barrage of bikers here, but apparently you're slated to fight the cyclist herself in a little boss fight. Unfortunately, this boss fight isn't finished yet. It just kind of ends abruptly at some point. But we do get an extension of this stage, which actually features the subway, or should I say, giant train, complete with several bars serving of-age martinis. Yeah, gotta be of-age martinis. Pools of water just casually within this. Possessed furniture? What the hell? Yeah, I'd rather not sit on something that has eyes. Just a thought. Let alone something that can ground pound you to oblivion.
Welcome to Technovend. Would you like to buy? Thank you very much. Come again.
I guess this part of the train kind of implies that it's been heavily damaged by some one or some force, considering all of these hazards are about. Not to mention the death pits here. Be careful with your platforming. These are somewhat strict jumps, and they're fair, but even then, I don't think you want to see what's at the bottom. Now we have the boss fight with Lyle herself. This has received minor changes, mostly in the fact that, well, since you now have Dash, the patterns can afford to be a little more complicated with how they decide to damage. I'm also being very reckless because it's been a while since I've played this game. My apologies. If they look tight on these horizontal patterns of shots, I guess they are, but you don't necessarily have to dash through them in order to get to the safe zones. You can just walk. This phase is still really easy, and Siphon Ship hasn't really changed either. Although, it is made a little bit easier now that Venice's double jump actually can attack things around her, which it normally didn't do. But more importantly, Venice now has a special weapon? In the form of the Nova Shot. Oh, I need to see this in the tutorial. Unfortunately, this doesn't have any voice acting yet. Wait on it. That's eventually gonna happen. The Nova Shot is an attack that fires downward and bounces around on the ground. The moment you fire it out, it's going to go straight downward at a diagonal. I know it's not supposed to go at an angle, but this shot apparently didn't listen to that. It's also weird seeing Venice in one of these tutorials herself, instead of Ray. I guess it was about time. Don't mind me fumbling here, This one's gonna be a bit strange, but you can now use a controller with this game, and it's about time. No offense to the keyboard controls. When you finally get used to them, they're pretty good. But in my eyes, nothing beats a controller. It could just be how I grew up playing games.
How did you little pest, get the better of me?
Let Joey go, or I'll show you what I can really do.
I hope you realize what you've done today.
What? The right thing?
You wish, but I'd get a second opinion. For example, mine is that you need to think it over some more.
Huh? What happened? Spooky? Spooky! Spooky. What? This doesn't look like the park, Spooks. The exit? Sure. It's very high up there. Guess we're not getting out that way. Hey, don't be scared. We'll find a way out of here. It'll be like an adventure. What do you say, little buddy? That's the spirit. Don't worry, Spooky. As long as we stick together, we'll be out of here in no time. I hope.
Of the stages in the demo, this one in particular hasn't really received all too many changes. Mostly it's been a few additions to the background. Now we can actually see a few underground plants in places. We also get these tiki torch-esque things too. It kind of makes me curious about what exactly this place is. Maybe it's an old abandoned mining tunnel of some type? I don't know. Something to think about. This area here has received a bit of a retooling to change around how it exactly functions, but it's more or less the same as it was before. Here we get a new addition in terms of not just hazards, but also platforms. Seems these plants don't exactly like you invading their privacy, and as a result, they're gonna be shooting out all types of spores to try and, shoo you away. But you can use some of their leaves as platforms to help you ascend. The spike drop pit with the dangerous electricity is gone here, which is kind of weird, but hey. I honestly kind of liked it. It was a nice little hazard that encouraged you to use how to float. And here's a more practical demonstration of the Nova Shot, and vaguely how it works. You'll see more of it within the boss fight. Here we get some details about what this might have been. It seems to be some part of the abandoned city, or maybe even a castle? This place especially is interesting because it's full of all types of ghosts and haunted paintings. And poltergeists within the ceiling lamps. Yeah, Venice, maybe it wasn't such a good idea to go venturing around here. Let's get out of here as quickly as we can. The ghostly librarian. He really doesn't appreciate you disturbing his peace and quiet, and kindly wants you to get the heck out. This isn't that hard. Yeah, ignore that. The statues of these two goddesses have moved, just as a note. And the last of the changes occurs within this boss fight against Greg. The arenas received a platform in the upper part of the stage, give it a little more context about what Gray's using to call rocks for ceiling. And other than that, he also has a few more patterns with his shots, his sword attack. All in all, his first phase isn't that bad to deal with. His second phase has some more complicated patterns using Avian Tempest that will warrant you to pay attention a bit more. He almost feels like Airman now in this fight. which is a nice touch. The patterns aren't necessarily unforgiving, especially if you've seen them once or twice. And in the last phase, Gray still has his hovering, but right side, we actually get an explosion effect on the shot attack that he gets with the hero. Or at least, I think it's hero. I'm not exactly sure. But other than that, that's pretty much everything that's changed about Havoc Fox in between now and last year's demo. So next time on Sage After, let's see about looking at a completely fresh game. Till again, alligator, ne?
I'd prefer not to.
I've done literally nothing productive all day. Please let this stay. This is an amazing feature.